I don't know about you, but where I live, there are animals that get into our garden beds. Our most common four-legged pests are squirrels, chipmunks, deer, raccoons, chickens, and elk, and dogs, neighborhood dogs, and cats. Don't forget the cats. Anyways, so far, this has kept all of them out. Now, it's not really time that elk come around, so I'm not positive how they'll do with elk, but every other creature has come around and has not got in here at all yet. I built this one in March, and it is now the end of May, so it's been up over 2 months. So today I'm going to show you how to make either a smaller cage or a larger cage for your beds. My other uncovered beds that are not fenced have been snacked on, so I know that one works. I'm going to use 10-foot, 3/4 inch PVC pipe, ties, zip ties, and this old deer netting that I bought last year from my other garden. Worked great for the deer, not so much for the elk. So I took it down, I'm gonna repurpose it. The bad thing about this is it's made of plastic, and so it will actually break really easy. The good thing is that it's so small that even birds can't get in it. And then also 4 pieces of 2-foot, 3/4 inch rebar. I get these at Home Depot. Now this garden bed is 4 feet wide, and these PVC pipe are 10 feet. Works perfect. While this bed is only 2 feet wide. This bed is so narrow that I want my rebar out about a foot from each side, or 1.5 feet. I can't find any of the 8-foot PVC. The 10-foot is too long for this short of a bed, or for this skinny of a bed. So if I use the 10-foot, it creases it like that instead of bending nicely. So in order to prevent that creasing, I just adjusted the spacing of the rebar. Okay, so I've got my rebar on each side, and then I'm just going to put the PVC pipe over the rebar, gently bend it so that this one can go onto this rebar. So that's what it looks like. I'm just going to do the same thing down here. Same procedure. PVC pipe on the rebar. Gently bend so it doesn't crease. Okay, so I've got the PVC pipe part done. So I'm just unrolling this netting the length of the bed. So since this netting is only 7 feet wide, it's not going to fit all the way across. So I'm going to have to do 2 layers of it. So right now, that's what I'm doing. Zip tie it to the frame. I'm anchoring the very top first. Did that end down there. I'm doing this one. Next, I'm doing the bottom piece. Now the bottom one, I don't want really tight. I need to be able to open it, so I want it to slide up and loop on this one to hold it in place. Then it's open, you can go in and out. Okay, I've secured the opposite end, and getting ready to do the bottom. It easily moves up and down, so it's good. All right, it's time to make sure I have plenty of netting and cut off the extra. Then I just do the same thing for this side. So roll out the netting, so I know how long to make it. I know it's hard to see the net, but I think I've got about the right amount, so I'm just gonna pop it over this tab to hold it in place. Get an idea how far down to make it so I can cut it. I like to cut it like a foot or so out to make sure I don't mess up. Again, on this side, on the bottom, I also want the zip tie loose so I can move it up and down like that. So attaching the top zip tie nice and tight. And it's done. Almost done. The only maintenance in these is the grass does grow up into the net. So I'm going to be putting cardboard and chips down around it, and then I'm going to have bagged potatoes in there. There is extra room for some more potted plants. But I just want to mention the grass will grow into the netting, and it's kind of a pain. You have to yank it out. This stuff will rip when you try to yank it out. The other netting, the nylon netting, does not rip. It's far superior. So I'm putting cardboard down before the wood chips because otherwise the grass will just grow right through the wood chips. Okay, so this is definitely optional. I just was trying to make it as low maintenance as possible. And I don't know if you can tell, but every single side and end of the netting is up and out of the way, and it's staying there by itself. Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and place a row of potatoes right here. And then to make sure this netting doesn't end up over in the grass, I'm just gonna tuck it under the potato bags. Like I'm tucking my baby into bed at night. All right, that's what I've got for now. I have more room over here for some pots, which is awesome, and nothing can eat them. Now that bed was really short, but this one's a little longer, so we did adjust by adding tape on a pole to make it stabler. It's just tape, and I'll probably get zip ties or twine or something and put it around there also. Yeah, on this bed I was able just to push them down on the edges, so there's no rebar under these. Since it has a high side and a deep soil, it just went right into the ground. Now that small one is going to be moved out of there. We don't need both of them. I just left it in to show you the difference with the length of it. It's actually going into my strawberry bed. So making the larger one is basically the same procedure as the small one, only you put 2 of the PVC pipes together. They're still anchored in with rebar, and the netting is still attached with zip ties. Easy. So here we have 2 of the 10-foot PVC pipes put together with one of the little coupler things. So I had purchased these couplings to put these pipes together, but I went ahead and got some of these T's or crosses, whatever they call them instead. These are really easy to use. You just slip them in. So to make this part up here was a one-person job. I did it all by myself, no help. So that means anybody can do it. You just put one of the crosses on, and then you slip the pipe into the other side, like that. And then another one comes in on this side, like that. And then the last one goes in. So I did not use any sort of glue or cement on these. I wanted them to be able to be portable, break them apart whenever I wanted to move them. And they're holding up perfectly fine. And we get really strong winds here. Then to assemble it, I just picked it up. And all this stuff's just hanging while this one gets anchored into the block. These blocks have these holes in here, and there's rebar that fits inside. That's how they're anchored in. And then I push it down into this side. So this entire thing was assembled out flat on the ground before putting it up. So this has been up for almost 3 months, and the one thing that I'm noticing that I need to adjust is on these tall ones, they all have rebar except for this one. This one just goes directly into the bed, and so it tends to sway. It's tilting this way right now. I need to get a piece of rebar in there and straighten it up, and that'll be perfect again. I will definitely leave a link to this netting down below because this stuff is really sturdy. We've had this covering our chicken coop run for several years, and it is in perfect shape still. We've had briars go across the top of it, and still fine. Putting this netting up is going to be such a pain. It actually wasn't that bad. It did require me to get a ladder and to get it over the very top, but I actually got this over all by myself. If I can do it, you can do it. And then this one's a lot wider. It has 2 4-foot areas plus a couple foot walkway. And see what I mean about the grass? This one I do not have any border, but I can, ooh, a slug. Rated R, don't watch. But what I do is I just pick it up, tuck it in the bed, and then I weed eat.